has become trillions of cells. They survive the long and convoluted developmental pathways between genes and behavior, pathways that meander through gene expression, proteins, and the brain. The power of genetic research comes from its ability to detect the effect of these inherited DNA differences on psychological traits without knowing anything about the intervening processes. Understanding the importance of genetic influence is just the beginning of the story of how DNA makes us who we are. By studying genetically informative cases, like twins and adoptees, behavioral geneticists discovered some of the biggest findings in psychology because, for the first time, nature and nurture could be disentangled. The implications of these findings are transformative for psychology and society and for the way you think about what makes you who you are. For example, one remarkable discovery is that even most measures of the environment that are used in psychology, such as the quality of parenting, social support, and life events, show significant genetic impact. How is this possible when environments have no DNA themselves? As we shall see, genetic influence slips in because these are not pure measures of the environment out there, independent of us and our behavior. We select, modify, and even create our experiences in part on the basis of our genetic propensities. This means that correlations between such so-called environmental measures and psychological traits cannot be assumed to be caused by the environment itself. In fact, genetics is responsible for half of these correlations. For example, what appears to be the environmental effect of parenting on children's psychological development actually involves parents responding to their children's genetic differences. A second crucial discovery at the intersection of nature and nurture is the unexpected way in which the environment makes us who we are. Genetic research provides the best evidence we have for the importance of the environment, because genetics only accounts for half of the psychological differences between us. For most of the 20th century, environmental factors were called nurture because the family was thought to be crucial in determining who we become. Genetic research showed that this is absolutely not true. In fact, the environment makes siblings reared in the same family as different as siblings reared in separate families. Family resemblance is due to our DNA, rather than to our shared experiences like TLC, supportive parenting, or a broken home. What makes us different environmentally are random experiences, not systematic forces like families. The implications of this finding are enormous. Such experiences affect us, but their effects do not last. After these environmental bumps, we bounce back to our genetic trajectory. Moreover, what looks like systematic, long-lasting environmental effects are often reflections of genetic effects, caused by us creating experiences that match our genetic propensities. As I will demonstrate in this book, the DNA differences inherited from our parents at the moment of conception are the consistent, lifelong source of psychological individuality, the blueprint that makes us who we are. A blueprint is a plan. It's obviously not the same as the finished three-dimensional structure. We don't look like a double helix. DNA isn't all that matters, but it matters more than everything else put together in terms of the stable psychological traits that make us who we are. These findings call for a radical rethink about what makes us who we are. The first part of Blueprint concludes with a new view that has sweeping and no doubt controversial implications for the way we think about parenting, education, and the events that shape our lives. It also provides a novel perspective on equal opportunity, social mobility, and the structure of society. These big findings were based on twin and adoption studies that indirectly assessed genetic impact. 20 years ago, the DNA revolution began with the sequencing of the human genome, which identified each of the 3 billion steps in the double helix of DNA. We are the same as every other human being.